So for the May 2018 Throwback Day, we're going to talk about the Best Picture winner for 1970, and that, of course, is the Franklin Schaffner film Patton, starring the legendary George C. Scott and Karl Malden. So this is a film that gives us a snapshot of the life, if you will, of the war horse himself, General George S. Patton, as he led his battalions into various areas that were being fought over against the Germans in World War II, and basically showing that he was someone who loved his country, but at the same time thirsted for battle and conquering. So this is a movie that I've known about for years. This is a movie that I know thanks to the music, which is beautifully done by Jerry Goldsmith, and of course that legendary moment where George Patton is basically standing in front of a gigantic American flag, and while we all know he is talking to all of the troops that are about to go into war, it really looks like the camera is just focusing right on him and talking to you as proud Americans, as people who are ready to go out there and punch some Nazis and just really get ready to fight the battles of World War II to come. So, of course, I was really excited to see this movie because of its legendary status, and while I don't feel that it is a movie that I would ever want to see again, nor is it a movie that I'd want to purchase on DVD, I will still say that this is a very well-done film. 1970, of course, after the interesting, out-of-the-box time period that was filmed in the 1960s, we saw all of what we had learned in terms of filming and production and brought it right into the 1970s, with that beautiful opening shot of General Patton standing in front of the American flag, to the beautiful wide shots of cities of Italy and France, as well as the deserts of Northern Africa. It really was a beautiful spectacle to watch. Not just that, but the acting is absolutely wonderful, and even though there are so many actors in this film, the only person that you focus on in this film is George C. Scott himself, who plays General Patton. He won an Oscar for his performance, and rightfully so. This guy gave me such an on-screen presence. He was engaging, he was brash, he didn't care about what came out of his mouth, and all that you could see in this guy's eyes is the red, white, and blue, and the bald eagle ready to kick some serious ass. This was also a very interesting tale in regard to General Patton, because it wasn't necessarily a biopic. We really didn't get to see the beginning stages of his life, what made him want to go into the United States Armed Forces and fight the battles of World War II. This is just him already beginning his story in the deserts of Northern Africa, already had made a name for himself, and it showed you what the feeling about him was all around the American Army, as well as some of the Allied forces that they met along the way. There were people that truly respected him, but there were people that feared him, and there were people that thought that he was absolutely crazy, because while Patton himself always said that he wanted to win World War II, he wanted to defeat the enemy, people were really nervous about his ethics, because this was a guy that was literally rampaging and trouncing cities by the dozens and just conquering and conquering. So people were wondering, are the United States being headed by a true American war hero, or are they actually being headed up by Attila the Hun? We don't know. And of course there is that legendary moment in the film when he sits down with an officer who is suffering from shell shock, and he just slaps him and says, "I don't want cowards in my army." It was that moment that was very pivotal in his career in World War II, because it started to make people really question this guy and really see if he was mentally stable to even lead. And throughout all of these events, they still put their faith in him, and they still felt that he was one of the only people that they needed that was going to really give the United States, as well as the Allies, Britain and France, etc., the victory in World War II. And at the very end of the film, you see George S. Patton is never going to be that type of person that is going to just sail off into the sunset and given the warrior's tribute. This is a guy that was not really sure what he was going to be when the war was over, because this guy's mentality was all about war and all about conquering. But he also was such a strong strong patriot regardless of what people thought about him. This is definitely a very well done film. You definitely have to see it, if anything, for the presence of George C. Scott. If you are a history buff and you want to see the beautiful work that was done to make the struggles of war look very well done for the time, especially in a time period like 1970, the explosions, the amount of money that was used in order to get all of these beautiful pieces of equipment, and the special effects for the time were also very well done, especially when you see what special effects are like today. It's definitely a very interesting movie to see. It does have a couple of slow moments, but I feel it really adds to the character development of Patton, even though there really isn't too much of it, but there's just enough for you to really decide whether you want to get behind Patton or go against him. Like I said, it's not a movie that I'd want to see over and over again, but it is definitely a classic film. It was definitely worthy of the Best Picture Oscar, and I will give Patton a 3 stars out of 4. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Please leave your comments in the box below, and let's discuss Patton, and I will see you in the next one. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by my channel today. If you're new here and want to see more of what my channel has to offer, please click on the link to my last video, or hit that subscribe button to be kept up to date with all of my uploads. Content of all sorts is posted here quite often, so trust me, you do not want to fall behind. I will see you in the comments, and actions speak louder than words.